Okay, good morning, Lviv, if you can call it that. We had some snow last night. It seems like the snow comes at night and then it goes away during the day. So it's like below zero, above zero centigrade, or 32 for the Fahrenheit people throughout the day. So it's like warming up, but it's still a little bit cold. But in the afternoons, it's a little bit more pleasant. So we had like four air raid sirens last night. Um, and we were talking in the bunker, like it would be nice if we understood the reason or the trigger, but most people are thinking it's precautionary that if there's an air raid siren in the region next to us, then it's done here just to be precautionary. But I have to admit, it's a bit tiring. You're in the middle of doing some work or you're in the middle of something, and then you have to get up and go run down and all of this. But it's for a good reason, and I think it's better to be precautionary. But at the same time, I hope people aren't getting conditioned and then start ignoring it and everything. And then when the real problems come, it's not effective anymore. So if anyone knows anyone in the authorities, maybe they can give a reason or what was triggering the threat, to just give some more clarity on what's going on so people can understand what's happening around them. Okay, so I talked to some people yesterday, and this is the reality about the food shortage. There's actually plenty of food. It's just distribution is the problem. It's not being moved around. There's like a logistics issue, but at the train station, what I understood is they had food lines there, and they were throwing food away. They just had, people weren't taking the food, or there was too much food for the amount of people at the train station waiting to get trains. And so it seems like this is more of a logistics problem, and this is like a problem with food all over the world. There's rarely a shortage of food. It's a shortage of trucks, a shortage of roads, a shortage of ships and transportation, a shortage of refrigeration to store the food. But the actual food stuff itself, there's plenty. I saw a man on the marshutka yesterday. I'm taking the marshutkas now and taking the public transportation just to help conserve the gas versus, sometimes we have to take the Uber or the Bolt, but try to stick with the public transit to use less gas. So there was a man with a huge sack of potato and bags of fruit. He was probably coming from a village to sell this in Lviv. I'm not sure. But Ukraine has a lot of bounty from the land. That's for sure. But logistics has always been a problem in Ukraine. Transportation and getting stuff from one place to another. Roads are not the best here, and railroad is slow. I don't know if you've ever been here, but some of the stuff is really old. So another logistics problem too is like a lot of money is stuck in the charities, and they're not able to dispense it or figure out how to put it to work. We actually need hands here. People to do things. People to actually move material from west to east, and to set up stations and everything, along the on the path to the borders to accommodate people trying to leave. This is what's needed here. Is like we actually need hands. There's actually, I think, I can't say, but it's just from what I'm reading, the money is flowing in. Definitely, the money is flowing in, but they need manpower to use that money and put it to its intended use. So, okay, now moving on. I saw some articles that Germany is considering to do life extension on its last nuclear power plants. And this is good. People are getting realistic now that green energy comes at a cost, turns the world red. Green energy's red price. Someone could say a little slogan or something if you want to call it that. But these green energy initiatives were not well thought out. The Paris Agreement and all of these agreements were intended to weaken the Western countries, and this is what you get. When you tell the West they cannot run their economies properly, and they cannot build and grow. And that Brazil, Russia, India, China, Brazil's devastating the rainforests, or Russia is belligerent, India and China are polluting like crazy. And Goldman Sachs, in their report number 99, many years ago, it was probably over a decade ago, said these were the rising powers. These countries are rising, and they created investment products to invest in these countries. This is what you get. This is what you get when you go green and believe in BRIC countries. This is my real strong opinion here. America must be first, foremost, front and center, or the civilized world will end up last. Really. All this Paris Agreement and BRIC countries and everything, all the industrialization belongs in the West. Western countries, where it can be monitored, controlled, criticized, scrutinized, improved. But we have to have all this stuff has to be in Western countries where there's democracy and freedom of speech and freedom of press, so that people aren't disappearing when they're criticizing a industrial project. There can be lawsuits, so the companies have to pay people when they mess up their lives, or chemicals. But this is one of those consequences of spreading the wealth, to countries that are not quite fully developed, in their politics and their press and their democracy, because the way this Paris Agreement was written is that Western countries have to go green, but non-Western countries like Russia, India, China, Brazil get a lot of exemptions so they can build up their economies. What the hell will those countries do when their economies are built up? How will they run the world? I know I have a lot of criticism of the way America manages the world and stuff, but if you have to choose between the three poles in the world, Russia, China, and America, I definitely would choose America. So, yeah, that's enough about green energy and why I believe in America must be first. I mean, a lot of people know me. I'm pretty strong on, public health care, like having a public option, or, government-supported health care and forgiving student loans. I have a lot of socialist inklings, but I do believe that patriotism in America must be first. So, moving on, the sanctions, I think, are starting to bite. We've seen Russian oligarchs hiding their yachts in the Maldives. I recommend the U.S. Navy go down there and get some target practice. Germany did confiscate one of those yachts. The journalists, one journalist asked Boris Johnson yesterday in a press conference, a Ukrainian journalist, why are Putin's kids still in the Netherlands and Germany? Why are his kids still there in Netherlands and Germany? Like I said, I was saying in a video before, Pablo Escobar only owned 3 taxis, and he was the richest man in Colombia and one of the richest men in all of South America, and he was making more money than General Motors, his organization. So get some real sanctions, go up and down the family tree. Shouldn't be possible. People in Ukraine are sleeping in bomb shelters, and this is what this journalist had said, that, her family's in bomb shelters and everything. I'm just paraphrasing, or her friends or something, but the point is, people in Ukraine are suffering and Putin's kids are running around Western Europe. Interesting, the UN had a resolution yesterday to condemn Russia, and even the Taliban voted against Russia. But there's some history there. They were the ones who destroyed the USSR. Only North Korea, Eritrea, Belarus, and Syria supported Russia. And China, I think, abstained. China just didn't show up to vote. As far as I understand, they never show up to actually vote. And it's also my understanding there was some intel that came out that China had told Russia to hold off until the Olympics were over, on their invasion. So that's another thing we have to face after we are done facing this monstrosity here, is how do we reduce our dependence on the Chinese? We have to do something about that. There was a second round of talks. As far as I understand, the negotiations were getting nowhere. I saw an article on Zero Hedge and it disappeared about Lavrov saying some things, but Zero Hedge is it's okay news source. I don't think it's Russian conspiracy, but it is like sometimes it needs to be vetted. Some of their financial articles are quite good, but sometimes the political articles you need to double check with mainstream sources to make sure it's right news. I would say it's like a 75-80% reliable source, not definitely not 100. I used to actually write for them articles about the Norwegian economy long back and send them articles on economics in Norway. Now some good news is it's kind of funny. They captured some tanks in Kharkiv, the Ukrainian army, and someone posted one for sale on eBay. And then there was some Bitcoin billionaire or millionaire or something offering Russian soldiers $50,000 in Bitcoin if they surrender their tanks to the Ukrainians. So this is the kind of stuff we need to get out there on the airwaves. One of my friends here in the building said his company's management had some contacts with Microsoft executives about getting the home screen in Russia to broadcast images. So hopefully that idea gets somewhere and we can broadcast the real news in Russia and Belarus. I mean, it appears some stuff is getting through. We've seen some hacked Russian TV channels showing testimonies of captured Russian soldiers in Ukraine. So there's like a fifth column, like a group of Russians sympathizing with Ukraine. We call these like fifth columns, insiders, who are inside the machine that are supporting your cause. So we see a fifth column in Russia now forming. So there's like hacked TV. I saw on the feed, and I don't know if this is true or not, it was just on the Telegram feed, but they had pictures and video that Belarusians flooded the train station. I don't know if it was in Minsk or another city to block the military movements, to hold up the soldiers and hold up everyone going, all the military people trying to use the train. So they just like rushed the train station and just sat there. So something is going on inside. I think the messages are slowly trickling in. The truth is slowly getting in there. Russian billionaires, a Russian billionaire in America put a $1 million bounty on Putin's head. That's pretty bold. It's a start. Maybe Mark Cuban and Elon Musk can raise that up, to like $1 billion or something. Jeff Bezos, Bill Gates. We should get a bidding war going. Or create a pot that they can do something. It can be either he can either be detained or taken out. That's the way that bounty works. If anybody's interested, But I think it'd have to be something bigger than this to entice someone who's got access to him. It'd have to be like really big. The only way Putin is going to be removed is if if a couple of the generals in the Russian army, generals and admirals, decide to do a coup or something. It's for them, it's like scary because there's this whole like KGB network, FSB network, intelligence network, and secret police, and it's a lot of paranoia. So, but I don't know if they raise the stakes high enough. It would have to be the head of the secret police and the head of the military working together to do a coup to get Putin out. I mean, my understanding, he is in the Ural Mountains, and things are happening in Moscow, so the physical separation could breed something like this, where there's this physical separation where he's actually not present, and those closest and most he trusts are in the Ural Mountains, and then everyone else is in Moscow. And so it's not unrealistic. I've noticed also on some of the feeds. And it's not getting in mainstream news, but in Serbia and Montenegro, there's rallies actually supporting Russia, people out in the street protesting. Now, as long as they're not government supported, there's not much we can do. That's people's freedom of speech. But that we maybe need to get the word out in Serbia and Montenegro and these places. They do have a little bit more Russian sympathy. Get the truth out even in our soft allied countries. Serbia, we had a war with them long ago, and I can explain why we had that war. That we went into Kosovo and Albania to stop the genocide. And actually, the genocide was two ways. I mean, there is some Serbians were right on this. It was going two ways, but the reason the Americans entered there was if we didn't enter, Iran was getting ready to fund Mujahideen and bring some real radical people onto European soil to help out the European Muslims, against Serbia. And so they took a conscious decision that the Americans should do this, and the Americans should stop all of this of the bloodshed. Otherwise the Iranians and the Middle Eastern countries would have done something, and we would have had another Bin Laden, type situation in Europe. So I don't know if that's ever been fully explained, but that's the way I understood it. 20 some years ago, 20, 30 years ago, that's the way I understood it. It was about 22 years ago. Yeah, it was a long time ago. So I guess closing out, we've seen that Kherson, I think, is appearing to be under Russian control, or it's not looking good in Kherson. I don't know if it's official or not. And United States intel warned that there could be an amphibious assault on Odessa today. But we had some encouragement that these Russian Marines that mutinied, they were actually conscripts. I thought the Russian Marines were all a volunteer force and that only the army was conscripts. But it appears that most of the Russian military is conscripts. So these weren't professionals, but they did have access to information and they refused to fight. So that was encouraging. So Russia traditionally is not an amphibious landing country, and I hope that the forces down in Odessa knew this was coming long before and prepared for it. Amphibious assaults are risky at best. I mean, you're landing boats and having to walk through water, and you're on an open beach. So I hope there's some stingers down there to deal with the air cover. I understand that America managed to deliver stingers in theater, and we got more drones coming in from Turkey that could maybe stop this assault. So I hope that works. So yeah, today I'll try to make the best of the day. The gym opens up at 9 o'clock now. The curfew's, like I said, a little bit tighter. You have to plan your day a little better to get all your things done. I'll play supermarket lottery today and see what they have, and everything. But yeah, that's all I got. I have one more thing. I found an interesting video, and I'll drop a link below on the strategic reasons why Russia is doing this. It's quite interesting. It comes down to oil and gas. I guess there's a ton of it in the Black Sea, and they want to stop Ukraine from getting rich. This could have turned Ukraine into Norway. If they could have capitalized the Black Sea reserves, it could have been like trillions of dollars, and maybe they could have built a welfare state. But I think that's why Putin is. It might explain the moves. It might explain the military moves. Why he took Crimea in 2014 and why he's going for the Kherson and Odessa. So anyway, take a look at that, and then everyone have a nice day. Bye-bye.